Okay, so picture this. It's been one of those days, you know the ones I mean. You get home, you're starving, but the only thing in your fridge is like that jar of pickles you swore you'd use months ago.
Oh, I've been there.
Right. And then you go to order in, but it's all delivery in 2 hours, pickup not available. It's like, come on. So what if you could get what you wanted? And I mean right now, well, that is the beauty of quick commerce.
It's the future of convenience.
Exactly. We're talking delivery times faster than you can even think about ordering takeout the old way. Groceries, dinner, anything, really. And get this, by next year, experts are saying quick commerce, or QC as we'll call it today, could be a $5 billion market. That's huge.
It's not just a fad, it's totally changing how we think about shopping.
It really is.
Yeah.
To really wrap our heads around all this, we're diving into some brand new research from this year's International Conference on Marketing Innovation. The paper is called From Click to Quick, and it breaks down exactly why QC is taking off the way it is.
It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. So imagine this for a second. You're trying to decide between ordering something with the usual 2-day delivery or giving this whole QC thing a try. The researchers behind the paper actually call the things that push you away from that traditional online shopping push factors. Makes sense, right?
Exactly. Think about those times you've been frustrated with, like those super slow delivery times, or those websites that feel like you're lost in a maze. Or those apps, don't even get me started on those apps that crash more often than they actually work. Those are all push factors, pushing you towards something better, something faster.
Right. Okay, so that's the frustration pushing us away from the old way of doing things.
Yeah.
But there's also going to be something better pulling us towards QC too, right?
Of course.
It can't just be the fear of missing out on a pizza that arrives like 10 minutes after you order it.
Well, maybe a little of that, but you're right. The pull is all about the good stuff. It's that amazing feeling of instant gratification when your order turns up in, like, minutes, and how easy those apps are to use. They're designed for speed. It's just the ultimate convenience, having what you want when you want it.
Okay, so we've got these push factors, like the slow delivery, making us rethink how we shop online, and then these awesome pull factors, like the super fast delivery and the apps that are actually, designed well.
Yeah.
But it can't be that simple, right? There has to be something that keeps us from just completely going all in on this instant gratification thing.
You're totally right. There's one more piece to this puzzle. Researchers call it mooring. Mooring. Like, think of it as the anchor that keeps your boat from drifting away. It's the comfort of your routines, the loyalty to those brands you've been using forever, or even just that feeling of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's like that constant tug of war in our brains, the frustration with how things have always been done, the excitement of something new and shiny, and that comfort of sticking with what we know.
And From Click to Quick goes even deeper, exploring 7 key reasons behind all of this.
7.
And they've put each of these reasons into their own category: push, pull, or mooring factor. It's actually a really insightful way to look at it.
I bet. Okay, so let's break down those 7 factors. What's the first push factor they talk about?
So the first one really resonated with me. They call it low efficiency in the world of traditional e-commerce.
Low efficiency.
Low efficiency. And honestly, I think we've all experienced this one at some point.
Oh, for sure.
It's like the worst. Waiting ages for something you need. Like right now, it's a huge reason people are switching to QC. I mean, why wait a whole week for a new phone charger when you could get it delivered in 15 minutes?
Exactly. Like, I needed that yesterday, not next week.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the frustration with how slow things are pushing us away from the old way of shopping online. Mm. What's the first pull factor that's, like, reeling us in?
Well, QC platforms know they got to get your attention and they got to get it fast. So they're all about ease of use. Think apps so intuitive that even your technophobe uncle could use them.
Simple, straightforward, and most importantly, fast. No more spending an hour on some website trying to find what you want, only to give up and just order pizza. Again. Okay, I like where this is going. What other tricks do they have up their sleeve?
These next 2 are all about trust and being accessible, especially in those places where, people might not be as trusting of online shopping. The researchers call them cash on delivery and return policy leniency.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Being able to just pay with cash when your order shows up definitely takes away that whole, do I really trust this website with my credit card thing?
For sure.
And having a really flexible return policy makes you feel a lot safer about, trying out new things,
Exactly. They want to make the whole experience as easy and risk-free as possible, so you'll be way more likely to just click order and not overthink it. Smart. Okay, so we've got the old way of doing things kind of letting us down, and these new awesome features tempting us to make the switch. But we've also got our own habits holding us back. So how do those mooring factors play into all of this?
Well, one of the biggest ones is actually pretty simple. It's just, human nature. We're social creatures, right?
Right.
We're influenced by what everyone else is doing. Like, if all your friends are raving about getting their groceries delivered in like 15 minutes, you're going to be way more likely to try it too.
It's like that whole fear of missing out thing. But instead of FOMO, it's FOMO QC. Okay, maybe that's not as catchy.
Well, work on that one.
Yeah, we'll workshop it. But you're right. Just seeing other people fully embracing QC has to play some kind of role. Totally. And then there's the personal experience factor, too. Once you've actually experienced how crazy convenient and fast QC is firsthand, it's hard to go back.
Oh, I can imagine. After living that need-it-now life, waiting 2 days for a package to show up must feel like an absolute eternity. Okay, so we've got social pressure and the addictive nature of convenience. What else is keeping us from cutting the cord on our old habits completely?
The last factor is more of a behind-the-scenes thing, but it's like a key ingredient in how this whole QC thing actually works. The researchers call it the dark store model.
Dark stores.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's not as ominous as it sounds. So instead of picturing those giant warehouses that are like miles away, imagine a bunch of smaller fulfillment centers stocked with everything you can think of. Groceries, electronics, you name it, strategically located all over every city. They're like mini warehouses, only there to fulfill online orders. So, they're designed for speed.
So they're like the secret ingredient that the customer never actually sees, but is like essential for making these crazy fast deliveries happen.
Exactly. It's kind of wild how something that the customer never actually sees can totally change their whole experience, their expectations even.
Sure. And that actually reminds me, you mentioned trying one of these services out yourself.
Oh, yeah. It was actually early one morning, and of course I completely spaced on picking up eggs.
The worst. What happened? Did a drone just lower a carton of eggs onto your balcony?
Almost. So I used this app called Blinkit, put in my order, and seriously, less than 10 minutes later, this super nice delivery guy shows up at my door with my eggs. And it wasn't even just the speed. Everything was packaged so carefully, even for something as simple as eggs, which I thought was impressive.
That's awesome. They're not even just focused on speed. They're really paying attention to all the details, making sure the whole experience is good. It's a smart move. But let's change gears for a second. I want to talk about how these researchers actually tied all this together. The paper mentioned something called fuzzy cognitive mapping.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, it sounds kind of intimidating.
It sounds complicated, but it's actually a really cool way to visualize how all those push, pull, and mooring factors we were talking about all work together, how they interact. So picture a web, and each factor is a point on that web, right? And all the lines connecting them, those represent how strong the influence is between the factors.
Okay, I think I'm getting it. So it's like this map of all the different forces at play, showing how changing one thing can create all these ripples through the entire system.
Exactly. For example, if a lot of people are getting more and more frustrated by those super long delivery times from traditional online stores, well, that frustration might be the thing that pushes them to finally give QC a try, even if they were on the fence before.
So it's like this domino effect. But instead of dominoes, it's our shopping habits. And they're being totally reshaped by all these different forces that are all pushing and pulling on each other.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild. This feels so much bigger than just how we get our groceries now or how we order takeout. This is changing how we actually live. What does this whole quick commerce thing mean for the future of shopping? For the future of, just existing? I mean, are we all going to be living in a world where we can just think of something and boom, it's at our door 5 minutes later?
Honestly, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, we're already seeing this huge shift towards everything being on demand, right? So QC is the natural next step, especially for, younger people who've grown up with the internet being this instant thing.
It makes you wonder what happens to, actually going to the store. If everyone's just ordering their groceries online for a 10-minute delivery, what happens to all those supermarkets?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it goes way beyond just grocery stores, too. Think about the impact on supply chains and jobs even, and the way our cities are designed even, with all these dark stores popping up everywhere. It's a lot.
And what about the environmental impact of all those extra deliveries?
Yeah.
Not to mention what happens to our impulse control when we can get anything we want in minutes. I mean, will we even need refrigerators anymore? if we can have fresh groceries delivered that fast? I have so many questions.
You're thinking about all the right things. This isn't just changing like our habits, it's changing our whole relationship with like buying things, you know?
Yeah.
Even the way we like live in our own homes.
It's a lot to process, for sure. We've covered a ton of ground here, from like why QC is blowing up to the psychology behind it to like how it could change literally everything. So what's the big takeaway here? What should we be keeping in mind as we watch this whole quick commerce thing play out?
Well, the From Click to Quick paper gives us some really solid ways of understanding all these changes. You know, we talked about it, the frustration with the old ways pushing us away, the shiny new stuff pulling us in, and then our own habits kind of anchoring us in place. But at the end of the day, it's really up to each of us to figure out how to like navigate this whole new world of getting what we want when we want it.
So true. It's like we're standing right on the edge of this like massive change in how we live and how we consume. So are we headed towards this future of like ultimate convenience, or are there like hidden costs to all this that we haven't even thought of yet? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of quick commerce. Until next time, stay curious and, hey, maybe time your next takeout order just for fun.